IAS Academy.
Hello all, welcome to IAS Academy and welcome back to the program Editorial Daily, where we deal with editorial analysis which enriches your perspective and enhances your answer writing. So let's get started with our today's session. Yes, let us see the first article for today. The first article for today is inside India's language conundrum. Okay, so basically this article examines the challenges which have been arising from the implementation of three language formula. Basically in CBSEs and NCRTs, now this three language formula has undergone, right, under which the National Education Policy, the NEP, National Education Policy of 2020 by the Central Board of Secondary Education, that is the CBSE. Okay, so basically language is not merely a medium of communication. Basically it is deeply connected with the identity, the culture, the history, the politics, and the education. So because India is a multilingual country, basically, as we know, with hundreds of languages and dialects, any language policy becomes a sensitive issue, basically. Okay, so let us see what is this three language formula. See, under this National Education Policy 2020, the CBSE schools are expected to implement a three language system from class 6 onwards. Okay, from class 6 onwards, this has to implement. Okay, so basically the key principle towards the implementation of this is a student should learn three languages. At least two of those must be the Indian languages, and this policy basically aims to promote the multilingualism, the national integration, and the cognitive development. Okay, so why base and yes, this is all fine, but why this article calling it as conundrum is it basically the conundrum means it is a difficulty and the confusing problem and confusing difficult and confusing problem. So this article highlights few several reasons like the curriculum disruptions, and say the concerns of the parents and the students, and impacts on the foreign language teachers, and the diplomatic and the international concerns. Okay, so these are few issues which have been coming up and have been discussed in this article. Okay, let us see it completely in a detailed manner, and let's see how it is linked to our GS papers. Okay, let's see. Yes, the topic goes like, see, inside India's language conundrum. Okay, so how can we link this topic, this article to our syllabus? Is for GS paper one, we can link this article to the salient features of the Indian Constitution, the diversity of India, and the linguistic diversity and the cultural pluralism, especially. Okay, in GS paper two, we can link this article to the topics like government policies and interventions for the development in various sectors, might be coming to the education and the NEP 2020 implementation. Okay, and in the same GS paper 2, we can link this article to the functions and the responsibilities of the union and states, and the issues and challenges which are pertaining to the federal structures, and also to the bilateral agreements involving India and or affecting the India's interests like education, diplomacy, and the global mobility. Okay, yes. Coming to the context of the topic, what is it and what is this article is completely talking about is it is about the CBSE has directed the affiliated schools. The CBSE has directed the affiliated schools to implement the NEP 2020s. NEP 2020s, that is National Education Policy 2020, that is implementing three language formula from class 6 in the academic year 2026 to 2027. Okay, so as two of the three languages must have the native languages, which is promoting the Bharatiya Bhasha, so that schools are facing out the foreign language options such as the French and the German. Okay, this has triggered the classroom disruptions, the diplomatic pushbacks, and the federal resistance and the teacher layoffs of this due to this NEP 2020s. Okay, yes. Coming to the introduction of the topic, how can we come up with is see, the languages policy basically in India has always balanced the national integration, cultural preservation, and the global competitiveness. So, the renowned push to enforce the three language formula seeks to promote the Bharatiya Bhasha, but it abrupts the implementation without the sufficient readiness has created a wider conundrum. Okay, so fueling the federal tensions, the disrupting the student pathways, and creating the ideological bottlenecks, and conflicting with India's global mobility goals. Okay, this is what we can come up with the introduction. When we see this policy shift and classroom disruptions, why this policy shift and why this classroom disruptions are happening, we can come out of it two phases. The first thing is the mandate. What is the mandate? Is under NEP 2020, the National Education Policy 2020, the students from class 6 must study three languages, with at least two being the native Indian languages. So, since English is considered to be a non native language or a foreign language, the schools can no longer offer either French, neither German, nor the Spanish languages as the third language. Okay, so the shift aims to promote the multilingualism through Bharatiya Bhasha, but significantly narrows the students' choice. Okay, yes. And the second thing is the midstream confusion and impact. It is not that, yes, many students initially asked class 7, 8, and 9 students to drop the foreign languages midstream, causing the confusion and the resistance. Okay, so after the Supreme Court petitions and the public backlash, the ministry clarified that existing class 7 to 9 students may continue while the phase out starts from class 6. While the phase out basically starts from class 6. Okay, so the students' transition has caused the curriculum chaos and job losses for the foreign language teachers, and reduced the options for students which are planning for education, international education. Okay, yes. Coming to the federal friction and the regional realities, what we can see is, first is the Tamil Nadu's two language resistance. The Tamil Nadu's two language resistance, where Tamil Nadu continues to follow its long standing two language policy, Tamil and English. Only these two languages where Tamil Nadu is being using since years. Okay, the state sees the three language formula as an indirect route for Hindi implementation imposition. Okay, so the issue reflects that the continuing political sensitivity of language in India's federal structure. Okay, basically Tamil Nadu is nowhere using this Hindi as an language. They are using only the regional language Tamil and English. Okay, so apart from this, implementing this Hindi is very bad. They are recognizing it. Okay, the second thing is the default Sanskrit phenomenon. The default Sanskrit phenomenon, basically, apart from this French, this what you called the Spanish and all, the third language which you want, you can't take up English, right? Because English, I mean, you can't take up any other language, because already we are using according to the policy of NEP 2020, we have to take up the third language as the Indian language itself, because one foreign language we are using, that is English. And another thing is our regional language which we are learning, either it would be the Hindi, Telugu, or Tamil or something. But the third language would be another Indian language. Basically, what does the schools do? They take up the Sanskrit, because they have lecturers or teachers for Sanskrit more rather than for other languages. Okay, so historical data shows that many Hindi speaking states default to Sanskrit rather than adopting any other Indian regional language. Okay, so this weakens the intended goal of cross culture integration between North era and the South Indian. Okay, so the policy often promotes formal complaints instead of real linguistic exchange. Okay, and the next thing is the Northeast cultural disconnect. Basically, when we take this Nagaland and few states of Northeast, in linguistically diverse regions such as the Nagaland, a uniform third language push may not reflect the local socio-linguistic realities, because many multi-language people are staying in Nagaland region. So educators argue that forcing Hindi or Sanskrit does little to strengthen indigenous linguistic roots such as Angami and the Konyak. Okay, so a one size fits all model can clash with cultural plurality. This is what it is telling. Okay, next is the impact on the diaspora linked states like Kerala. If you see, the states like Kerala historically uses options like Arabic or French to support the migration linked aspirations. Basically, to more of the countries, we can see the migrations will be more in the Kerala. Okay, so phasing out such languages can affect the students preparing for the Gulf and the Western opportunities. So the regional economic realities must inform the curriculum design. Okay, next, coming to this diplomatic and the economic contradictions which we can see, the first one is the pushback from European embassies. Pushback from European embassies. See, around 4.5 lakh students study French and 1.5 lakh study German in India. Why? Because, see, the European patterns have invested heavily in language teaching infrastructure, teacher training, and the certification networks. So, the phase out of European languages has therefore triggered the diplomatic concern and the institutional pushbacks. Okay. So next, this is what you call the pushback from the European embassies. Next is the clash with the global labor mobility. Like, when we see, by reducing the foreign language access contradicts India's broader education diplomacy and skilling ambitions. Okay, so the Indo-German higher education roadmap seeks the easier mobility of skilled Indian youth, which depends partly on the language proficiency. Okay, so language policy must therefore balance the the cultural rootedness with international competitiveness. Okay, now how can we take up the pace insight from this article is basically the Indians language debate is not just about the pedagogue. It is also about the federal autonomy, the cultural diversity, diplomacy, and the future global mobility of Indian youth. Okay, yes. Moving forward, the severe infrastructure and pedagogical hurdles. What are this infrastructure and pedagogical hurdles is? First thing is the teacher deficit. Basically, see, the UDISE 2023 to 2024 shows only 61.6 percentage of primary schools which are nationwide teach three languages. Only for 61.6 percentage of schools only teach three languages, and the structural shortage of trained language teachers weakens the implementation. Okay, next. Next is the scarcity of cross-regional language teachers. See, the states lack the qualified teachers for non-native Indian languages such as Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, or other regional options. Okay, so recruitment and teacher training pipelines remain very weak. Okay, next. Next is the implementation failure examples. What are the examples of this implementation failure is, see, in Uttar Pradesh explored offering the South Indian languages, but due to lack of trained teachers, many students were left to prepare independently. So this exposes a serious execution gap between the policy, ambition, and the classroom reality. Okay, yes, this is the main example in Uttar Pradesh. Remember this. Okay, yes. Next to the pedagogical bottleneck, like, see, the missing study materials, the teacher shortages, and the timetable rigidity created a delivery bottlenecks. Like, students bear the burden through confusion, self-study pressure, and reduced learning outcomes. Okay, these are the few things which we can come up with. Next, coming to the way forward which we can write for this article is, first is the cooperative federalism. Cooperative federalism, that is, see, involving the states in policy design and respect the historical and regional sensitivities. And second thing is invest in teachers capacity, like build the robust recruitment, training, and certification systems for the regional and the foreign language teachers. And the third thing is the decentralized pedagogical choices, like allow the states and schools to choose the languages combinations based on socio linguistic context and student aspirations. Okay, and then we can say align the education with the global labor mobility. Like, see, keep space for foreign language learning to support higher education, diplomacy, and skilled migration, because many migrating countries, if they lack this French, German, or Spanish, or any other foreign languages, they might lack this opportunities of this migrations or having education in higher educations in other countries. Okay, yes. And the last thing which we can tell is phased and infra-ready implementation. That is to avoid or disrupt the top-bottom rollout. The sequence reforms only after the materials, teachers, and institutional readiness are in place. Okay. Yes. Coming to the conclusion of the topic, how can we come up with the conclusion is basically the vision of this NEP 2020 to what you call the to decolonize the education and celebrate the indigenous linguistic heritage is important and constitutionally sound. However, the language policy cannot succeed through the rigid top bottom mandates alone. Okay, so India needs to corporate the federalism, pedagogical flexibility, and the sustained investment in teacher capacity so that the students remain both culturally rooted and globally competitive. Okay, thing is, the language reform must balance the cultural rootedness, federal autonomy, and the global opportunity. Okay, yes. There are few high impact terminologies and the keywords which we can take up from this article is, and that the first one is the three language formula. What is this three language formula? Basically is it is a policy mechanism to promote the multilingual through three language study. Okay, next is the Bharatiya Bhasha mandate. Like, see, the National Education Policy 2020 emphasizes on the native Indian languages. Okay, next is the socio-linguistic context. See, the local social and cultural realities which are shaping the languages to use. Okay, next is the decentralized pedagogical choice, like state or the school autonomy selecting the language combinations. Next is the asymmetric federal implementation, means the uneven adoption of national policy across the states. It's called as asymmetric federal implementation. The next keyword is top down administrative mandate. It is nothing but it is a policy imposed without the adequate ground readiness or the consensus. Next key term is the education diplomacy. Education diplomacy is nothing but a use of a learning and academic partnership to strengthen the bilateral ties. Okay, the last one is the global labor mobility. See, the global labor mobility is the movement of skilled workers across the borders, which are enabled by the linguistics and professional readiness. Okay, these are the few key words you can take out from this article. Okay, yes, moving on to the next article for today. And yes, the next article for today is building the water security in a rapidly drying India. Okay, so basically, it is written by this article is written by Nitin Basi, who is a fellow at the Council of Energy, Environment, and Water. Okay, so this article explains why India is facing an increasing water crisis and outline practical policy measure to ensure the long-term water security. Okay, and when we see that in India, basically, uh, India basically experiences one of the worst water crisis. When we see the cities like Bangalore, Delhi, and Mussoorie and all, these are facing a huge water shortages, while many river basins are getting dried, are intense stress. Okay, according to this article, 11 out of the India's 15 major river basins are water stressed, and several have already crossed the threshold of the water scarcity. Okay, so this climate change, this erratic monsoons, the groundwater depletion, pollution, rapid urbanization, and inefficient water management have all contributed to this crisis. Not only one situation, all the situations have contributed to this crisis. Okay, not a small thing. 15, we have 15 out of 15 major river basins. Out 11 have been dried up. Okay, they have been very water stressed. Okay, so this article identifies the several reasons like declining and irregular rainfall due to this climatic changes, and the excessive extraction of the groundwater, pollution of the rivers and lakes, and poor maintenance of water infrastructure, the high water losses during this transportation, and rapid urbanization, and the increasing demand and inefficient irrigation practices in the agriculture. So although India has only basically India has only 4% of the world's fresh water resources, it supports nearly 18% of global population, which is making efficient water management essential. Okay, yes, we will see this article in a complete manner, and we will see how can we link this top article to the topics of our GS. Okay, let's see. Yes. The topic goes like building water security in rapidly drying India. And how can we link this article to our syllabuses? For GS paper 1, we can link this article to the distribution of key natural resources across the world, including the South Asia and the Indian subcontinent, basically for the water resources. Okay. In GS paper 3, we can link this article to the conservation, environmental pollution, and degradation. For GS paper 3, we can link this article to the major cropping patterns in various parts of the country, different types of irrigations and irrigation systems, basically the micro irrigation. Okay, yes. Coming to the context of the topic, what is the context basically in the article it is talking about is Indian cities are reeling under severe water stress, which are exacerbated by a recent monsoon rainfall deficit of over 40 percentage. So with several major river basins which are being dropping below water scarcity thresholds, experts and the United Nations warn of the impending global water bankrupt. Okay, bankruptcy. So, this editorial outlines a 4 point framework to navigate India from the scarcity to water security. Okay, yes. Coming up to the introduction of the topic, which we can state is India sustains 18% of the global population with just 4% of world's water resources. So, currently, cities like Bangalore to Delhi are facing extreme shortages, and research by the Council on Energy, Environment and Water highlights that 11 out of 15 major river basins in India are experiencing the water stress, as we discussed before. So, the UN warns of global water bankruptcy, which is necessitating an urgent shift from the fragmented policy to the targeted interrelated actions to score India's water future. Okay, yes. What is this existing infrastructure gaps which we are facing is basically the schemes like Jal Jeevan Mission and Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana has strengthened the supply infrastructure. So, however, the systemic challenges continue to undermine the water security. Okay, see, we can see this regularly, the poor upkeep, like the breakage of this pipelines, inadequate wastewater treatment, we can see the sustainable conveyancy losses, and high pollution levels and the low cost recovery. Okay, next. And we have to see this interrelated actions for water scarcity. What are those actions? What are the four major actions for this scarcity? Is first is invest in the climate proofing water systems, like conduct the granular climate risk assessments to prioritize the infrastructure investments in highly vulnerable areas like the coastal and the low lying zones like Thane and Navsari. Okay, so leveraging this financial mechanisms like the Urban Challenge Fund, UCFs to the fund water supply and the drainage projects. Like example, when we take Vishakhapatnam of Andhra Pradesh has recently secured 1,501 crores under this Urban Challenge Fund. Okay, yes. And second action which can be implemented is enable the water reuse for non-potable purposes. Okay, so like it shift from a linear to a circular linear to a circular approach in the urban water use by treating and reusing the wastewater for landscaping, like landscaping, car washing, and cooling data catches. Okay. And yes, economical potential, like CEEW, which estimates the economic opportunity from selling treated wastewater, could reach 3 lakh crores and generate 1 lakh jobs by 2047. Okay. Next, the third action which would come up is the scale up of micro irrigation systems. Like, see, now as we are using the drip and sprinkler technologies currently, which is covering 20% of India's 72 million hectare potential. Okay. So subsidy design should be reworked for small and marginal farmers who are using zero point 0.4 hectares as the base unit instead of 1 hectare. Okay. Whatever the size of the crop is, now they are coming up with the what you called the drip or the sprinkler irrigations. Okay. Yes. When we see, basically, whatever might be, rather it might be a zero point 0.4 hectare or 1 hectare of land, they are using the drip and sprinkler technology so that the water is being very much used. Okay. So it has to come with a subsidy design so that the marginal farmers which are using zero point 0.4 hectares as a base unit has to changed. Okay. Next, promote the crop diversification towards low water, high value crops such as the horticulture and the oil seeds. Next, use of low cost insurance and faster claim settlement through the PM Fasal Bhima Yojana to manage the climate risks. Okay. Yes. Coming to the fourth action, that is close water data gaps. Close the water data gaps. Like, India tracks water availability but lacks the granular data on withdrawals, the conveyance losses, and the basin scale consumption. Okay. So this lack of this monitoring encourages the free riding and speeds up the resource depletions. Okay. So AI based monitoring and smart bulk water meters, such as those being installed in Delhi and Bhubaneswar recently, can identify the physical distribution losses. Okay. And water accounting tools can be modeled on India's rollout of 4.93 crore smart electricity meters. Okay. Yes. When we say the high impact terminologies and keywords for this from this article, which we can take up, is the first one is global water bankruptcy. What is this? It is a severe depletion of aquifers and river basins which are beyond safe recoverable limits. Okay. Next, the second term is climate proofing water system. What is this climate proofing water system? Is whether it is being designing and the upgrading water infrastructure to withstand the extreme weather and the climate shocks. Okay. And the next one is the circular approach to the water use. How? By treating and reusing the wastewater for non-portable purposes instead of a use and discard model. Okay. Yes. Next is smart bulk water meters. What are the smart bulk water meters? Is it is an advanced monitor devices that track the large scale water flow and detects the distribution losses. Okay. Next, the last one is free riding. What is this free riding? Free riding is nothing but it is extracting as much as water as possible without accountability because monitoring is weak. Okay. Yes. How can we come up with the conclusion for this article? Is basically water must be recognized as an economic resource that powers the livelihoods and the ecosystems. So reserving water bankruptcy is foundational to social welfare. So by combining the political will, transparent governance, and the social trust, India can still turn the tide towards a resilient water secure future. Okay. Yes. Basically, water security demands the climate resistant, resilient infrastructure, the circular urban use, and the efficient irrigation and real time accountability. Okay. Yes. This is about this water scarcity in India, which has been facing. Okay. Yeah. And yes, these are the two articles for today which we have seen. Basically, both the articles have highlighted the India's future dependence on striking the right balance between the diversity and the sustainability. So, the article on the three language policy, which underscores the need for an education system that promotes the multilingualism while respecting India's federal structure, cultural diversity, and the regional aspirations. That is the article one which we have spoke about. Next, meanwhile, the editorial on the water scarcity which we have seen reminds us the climate change and the poor resource management demands the urgent reforms in water governance, infrastructure, agriculture, and the technology. Okay, so a common message which have been emerging from both is that the policies alone cannot ensure the success, but effective implementation and cooperative federalism, the evidence-based decision making, and the active public participation are equally essential. Okay, so whether it is preserving the India's linguistic heritage or safeguarding its water resources, the objective should be inclusive, sustainable, and people centric development. Okay, yes, and these are the two articles for today which we have discussed. I hope you like this video. To have a detailed note on it, if you want this PDF, you can download it from the website itself. The link is provided in the description below. And do like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more editorial analysis daily. And do subscribe. Do like. Follow our Instagram account and the Telegram accounts for your UPSC preparations. All the links for the accounts are provided in the description below. And yes, see you all soon with tomorrow editorial analysis. Thank you.